Out in the unforgiving expanse of the North Atlantic, halfway between the coasts of Norway and Iceland, lies a scattering of islands that seem to rise from the sea like ancient, sleeping giants. They are a final, dramatic punctuation mark on the European continent, a place where the land gives way to the immense, indifferent power of the ocean. This is a world sculpted not by human hands, but by the raw, elemental forces of primordial ice, relentless water, and a wind that never ceases. A place of profound solitude and breathtaking severe beauty. These are the Faroe Islands. From above, they are a fractured mosaic of impossible green, a vibrant, almost luminous color set against the dark, restless sea. There are no native forests to soften the landscape, only a velvety carpet of grass clinging to steep, unforgiving slopes that plunge directly into the churning water. Water is the defining element. It cascades down cliffs in countless temporary waterfalls, ribbons of white against black basalt. It pools in serene, elevated lakes that seem to hover miraculously above the ocean, and it falls from the sky as a persistent, life-giving mist that shrouds the world in a soft, diffused light. The air itself feels different here, clean, sharp, and heavy with the scent of salt, damp earth, and the faint, wild smell of sheep's wool. To see these islands is to witness a world at the edge of the world, a landscape of epic, almost mythical proportions. But to understand them is to look closer, past the grand scenery, and into the quiet, resilient lives of the people who have chosen to build their homes in this demanding, isolated, and utterly magnificent place. This is the story of that life, a story of how people exist in a land governed by the sea, the storms, and a deep, abiding silence. The Faroe Islands are a place where the elements are always present, always felt. The cold Atlantic wind is a constant companion, shaping the land and the lives of those who inhabit it. It whistles through the narrow streets of Tórshavn, rattles the windows of turf-roofed houses in Saxon, and sweeps across the open moorlands, carrying with it the scent of salt and distant storms. Fog is a living thing here. It rolls through the villages, sometimes so thick that the world shrinks to the space of a single street, a single house, a single lamp, glowing in the grey. It moves with a mind of its own, sometimes lifting in an instant to reveal a sunlit hillside, sometimes lingering for days, muffling sound and softening the edges of the world. Above the villages, giant cliffs rise abruptly from the sea, their faces streaked with waterfalls that seem to vanish into the wind before ever reaching the ocean below. The cliffs are both barrier and protection, a reminder of the island's isolation and their resilience. The roads that wind along these cliffs are narrow and exposed, sometimes carved directly into the rock, sometimes disappearing into tunnels that burrow through the mountains themselves. The settlements are small, often just a handful of houses clustered together for warmth and shelter. They are surrounded on all sides by mountains and water, the boundaries of the world clearly defined by nature. The colors of the houses, red, yellow, blue, stand out against the green and gray, a human assertion of life and hope in a landscape that can feel overwhelming in its scale and indifference. To live here is to be constantly aware of the weather, the light, the sound of the sea. It is to feel the world as a series of layers: wind, fog, rain, sun, each one changing the mood and the meaning of the day. It is a place where the landscape is never passive, never merely a backdrop, but always an active, shaping force. Life in the Faroe Islands is a constant, intimate negotiation with the weather. Here, the elements are not a backdrop for life. They are an active and often dominant character in the story of every single day. The North Atlantic sky is a vast, turbulent, and ever-changing canvas. A calm, sunlit morning where the sea lies flat and reflective as dark glass can, without any discernible warning, surrender to a gale-force wind that howls through the fjords, whipping the surface of the ocean into a white, chaotic frenzy. The wind is a constant companion. It is a physical presence, a force you can lean your entire body against. It sculpts the few trees that grow here into gnarled, windswept shapes, and it carries the sound of the ocean far inland, a permanent low roar that underscores the silence. The rain, too, is a defining feature. It is rarely a gentle, vertical shower. More often, it is a horizontal torrent, a driving spray that lashes against windows and finds its way into the smallest of crevices. But this same rain is what nourishes the island's iconic greenness, what feeds the waterfalls and gives the landscape its deep, saturated colors. The Faroes have many words for the different kinds of rain and mist, a linguistic testament to its constant presence in their lives. And then there is the fog. It is a signature of the islands, a thick, silent entity that can roll in from the ocean in minutes, erasing landscapes and reducing the world to a few feet of visibility. It is called murky, and it can descend without warning, cloaking the mountains, silencing the birds, and turning a familiar drive into a cautious, uncertain journey into a wall of white. It creates a profound sense of isolation, a feeling of being cut off, not just from the outside world, but from the next village, or even the other side of the valley. For the Faroes, checking the weather forecast is not a casual habit. It is a critical, non-negotiable part of planning any activity. It determines whether a ferry will sail, whether a flight will land, whether a hike into the mountains is a life-affirming joy or a life-threatening risk, or whether it is simply a day to remain inside, listening to the wind and feeling the comforting solidity of the house around you. This constant, humbling deference to the power of nature has cultivated a unique national character, one of immense patience, steadfast pragmatism, and a profound, unspoken respect for the forces that lie just beyond their control. For those who make their living from the sea, the weather is not just a topic of conversation, it is a matter of survival. The fishing industry is the backbone of the Faroes' economy, and the men and women who work on the boats are intimately familiar with the moods of the ocean. They know the signs of an approaching storm, the subtle shifts in wind and current that can mean the difference between a safe return and a dangerous night at sea. Storms can arrive with little warning, and when they do, they are fierce and uncompromising. Waves crash over the decks, winds howl through the rigging, and the world shrinks to the small, illuminated circle of the boat's lights. On land, the storms are just as powerful. Roads become impassable, ferries are cancelled, and the islands are cut off from each other and from the outside world. In these moments, the community draws inward, relying on each other and on the routines that have been honed over generations. Away from the small, bustling capital of Tórshavn, the true rhythm of the Faroe Islands reveals itself in the remote villages that cling tenaciously to the coastline. These are communities of profound quiet, often home to just a few dozen people. Their colorful houses, huddled together for shelter against the wind, often in the protective embrace of a natural harbor or a deep fjord. Life here is stripped back to its essentials, built around simple, dependable, and time-honored routines. A day in a village like this begins not with the sound of traffic or alarms, but with the low hum of a fishing boat leaving the small, protected harbor, its engine a familiar and reassuring sound in the morning stillness. Or it begins with the collective bleating of sheep being moved from one pasture to another, a sound that has echoed through these valleys for over 1,000 years. The roads that connect these settlements are often narrow, single-lane tracks that wind precariously along the edges of cliffs or through steep, empty valleys. For long stretches, the only signs of life are the sheep, who roam freely and claim ownership of the roads with a calm, unhurried indifference. To drive these roads is to feel a sense of immense scale and solitude, to feel like a small, temporary visitor in a vast, ancient landscape. In these small communities, anonymity is a foreign concept. Everyone knows everyone, and more than that, they know each other's family histories, their boats, their routines. News travels not through social media, but over a cup of coffee in a neighbor's kitchen or in a chance meeting at the tiny village shop. Life moves at a human pace, deliberate and unhurried, dictated by the seasons, the weather, and the tides, rather than by the relentless, artificial urgency of the modern world. It is a life of quiet repetition, of deep familiarity, and of a peaceful, predictable rhythm that has remained largely unchanged for generations, a living connection to the past. Community is the bedrock of life in these villages. When a task is too large for one family, the community instinctively comes together. Whether it is the annual sheep gathering, the repair of a storm-damaged roof, or the maintenance of the local community hall, there is an unspoken, deeply ingrained understanding that everyone plays a part, that the well-being of the individual is inseparable from the well-being of the whole. This interdependence is not a choice. It is a fundamental law of survival that has become the bedrock of their social contract. For all their profound isolation, the Faroe Islands are a paradox of modern connectivity. A remarkable network of sophisticated infrastructure serves as the archipelago's lifeline, stitching the scattered islands together in a triumph of engineering over geography. The most awe-inspiring of these are the subsea tunnels. To drive into one is a surreal experience, a descent from the wild, windswept and ancient landscape into a perfectly engineered tube of light and concrete that runs for miles beneath the cold, immense, and crushing weight of the North Atlantic. The experience is a study in contrasts. You can leave one island in the midst of a rainstorm, plunge beneath the ocean into the calm, silent, artificially lit world of the tunnel, and emerge just minutes later on an entirely different island to find the sun shining. These tunnels, including the Eysturoyartunnelin, with its now famous, beautifully illuminated underwater roundabout, have transformed life here. They have turned what was once a long and weather-dependent ferry journey into a simple, reliable, all-weather commute, connecting families, jobs, and communities in a way that was once unimaginable. Yet the sea remains a constant, essential highway. A fleet of modern, efficient ferries provides a vital link to the more remote islands, especially those like Suðuroy to the south, or the puffin paradise of Mykines to the west. For the communities on these outlying islands, the sound of the approaching ferry is the sound of connection, the arrival of mail, supplies, food, and visiting family. These journeys are a beautiful, humbling reminder of the geography that defines this nation. On a calm day, the crossing is a serene glide through a landscape of epic scale, past dramatic cliffs teeming with birdlife. But when a storm rolls in, the sea shows its true power. Crossings are cancelled, and these vital connections can be severed for days at a time, reinforcing the fundamental reality of island life, that you are always, in some way, at the mercy of the ocean. For many, the ferry is more than just transportation. It is a symbol of connection, of possibility, of the world beyond the horizon. It is a lifeline, a reminder that even in the most remote corners of the islands, no one is ever truly alone. To live in the Faroe Islands is to live with a profound and pervasive sense of isolation. With a total population of just over 50,000 people, scattered across 17 islands, silence and solitude are not things you have to seek out. They are the default state of being. In the long, dark months of winter, when daylight is reduced to just a few hours of muted grey twilight, this feeling is magnified. The world shrinks to the small, warm circle of home, family, and the immediate community. The vast, empty landscapes outside seem to grow even larger and more imposing in the darkness. This isolation shapes the emotional and psychological landscape of the people. There is a quiet introspection, a calmness that comes from living in a place with so much empty space, so much silence. It fosters a strong sense of self-reliance, but also a deep-seated understanding of the importance of community. For the young, this can be a double-edged sword. Growing up with immense freedom and unparalleled safety in a natural backyard of epic proportions is a unique and precious gift. But it comes with the inherent limitation of a small world, a place where everyone knows your business and opportunities can feel finite. Leaving the islands for a time is a modern rite of passage. The vast majority of young Faroes travel abroad, usually to Denmark, to pursue higher education or to gain work experience. It is their first taste of anonymity, of life in a large, bustling city. Yet the pull of home, the deep, almost physical longing known as heimlongsul, is incredibly strong. A significant number choose to return. They are drawn back by an unbreakable connection to family, to the tight-knit community, and to the land itself. They return for a feeling that cannot be found anywhere else. The peace that comes with being rooted in a small, quiet, and deeply familiar place at the end of the world. The challenge for the Faroe Islands is to create enough opportunities to keep its young people at home, or to bring them back after their journeys abroad. It is a delicate balance, preserving the unique culture and cherished small-scale society while fostering the innovation and economic growth necessary to build a sustainable future for the next generation. In a landscape so often defined by cold, grey, and dramatic weather, the Faroes' home becomes a sanctuary of essential warmth and light. The concept of hugni, a feeling of coziness, contentment, and shared warmth, is central to the culture. It is not just a pleasant aesthetic, it is a deliberate and necessary strategy for well-being, a conscious cultivation of comfort against the harshness of the world outside. On a dark winter afternoon, as a storm rages and the wind howls, The soft glow of lamps in windows becomes a beacon of welcome, safety, and security. Inside, life is simple and centered around the family. The interior of a typical home reflects the landscape outside: natural materials, simple wooden furniture, and often art that depicts the dramatic cliffs and seascapes of the islands. Hand-knitted sweaters and blankets are everywhere, a tangible product of a long tradition and a practical defense against the cold. The kitchen is often the heart of the home, the place where the family gathers. The aroma of coffee is a constant, a small ritual of warmth shared throughout the day. Evenings are for quiet pursuits: the rhythmic, gentle click of knitting needles, the reading of a book, the sharing of a simple, wholesome meal, often featuring fresh fish caught that day or savory local lamb. These homes are not just shelters from the weather. They are the emotional heart of the community. They are places where stories are told, where the Faroes language is kept vibrant, where traditions are passed down, and where the strength of family bonds is reinforced against the constant backdrop of the wind and the rain. It is in these small, warm, and brightly lit spaces that the resilience of the Faroes' spirit is nurtured and sustained through the long, dark winters. The home is a place of continuity, of memory, of comfort. It is where the outside world is kept at bay, where the storms are just a distant sound, and where the warmth of family and tradition is always present. The natural world of the Faroe Islands is not a gentle or passive beauty. It is a landscape of raw power and dramatic vertical scale. The basalt cliffs, some of the highest sea cliffs in Europe, plunge vertically for hundreds of meters into the churning Atlantic. The ocean waves, after traveling uninterrupted across thousands of miles of open sea, explode against these rock walls with unimaginable force, sending plumes of white spray high into the air. This is a land that constantly and humblingly reminds you of your own smallness. To connect with this environment is a national pastime. Hiking is not just a leisure activity, it is a way of life, a means of finding clarity, perspective, and solitude. Ancient footpaths, marked by stone cairns called Vardar, crisscross the islands. These are not modern recreational trails. They are the historic highways, the only way to travel between villages for centuries. To walk them is to feel a deep connection to the past, to imagine the generations of people who walked these same paths in all weather, their lives dependent on the journey. The experience is immersive, the feeling of the springy, damp turf underfoot, the constant caress of the wind on your face, the sharp, clean scent of salt and damp earth. The sheep, outnumbering the human population by nearly 2-to-1, are the true inhabitants of these hills. They are a cornerstone of the traditional way of life, providing the wool for the famous Faroese knitwear and the meat that is a staple of the national diet. To live here is to live in deep, abiding appreciation of this wild, untamed, and utterly magnificent environment that surrounds you, challenges you, and ultimately sustains you every day. Outdoor life is shaped by the weather, by the seasons, by the rhythms of the land and the sea. It is a life lived in harmony with nature, in constant awareness of its power and its beauty. The atmosphere of an island night is one of profound and palpable quiet. As darkness falls, especially during the long winter, a deep stillness descends upon the towns and villages. The routines of the day cease, and life retreats indoors. The wind and the sea often the only sounds that remain, seem to grow louder and more distinct in the absence of human activity. On a stormy night, the house becomes a small, secure vessel in a turbulent ocean of darkness. The sound of the gale is a constant, powerful reminder of the wildness just outside the walls, making the warmth and light inside feel all the more precious. On a clear, calm night, the silence is just as powerful. With no significant light pollution, the sky reveals a breathtaking, dizzying canopy of stars, a sight lost to most of the modern world. In the summer, the nights are never truly dark. They are filled with a lingering, ethereal twilight, the white nights, where the sun barely dips below the horizon. The landscape is bathed in a soft, magical light, and the quiet feels different. Not an absence, but a peaceful, serene presence. This is a time for rest and reflection. It is in this shared, nightly calm, in the collective retreat from the elements, that the community recharges its strength. It is a peace born of isolation, a quiet that is both humbling and deeply restorative, preparing the islands for the light and challenges of a new day. The nights are long, but they are not empty. They are filled with stories, with music, with the quiet, enduring presence of family and tradition. This quiet life, for all its profound beauty, is not without significant and persistent challenges. The relentless weather is a constant, practical obstacle. Storms can cancel flights and ferries for days on end, severing the connection to the outside world, delaying deliveries, and reminding everyone of their vulnerability and isolation. The cost of living is high, an unavoidable reality when nearly all consumer goods, from fresh fruit to cars to building materials, must be imported over vast distances of ocean. The landscape itself, while stunning, is unforgiving. There is very limited arable land for farming, and a finite amount of flat ground for building, leading to complex land use debates. Maintaining infrastructure, roads, bridges, power lines, in this corrosive, storm-battered environment is a constant and expensive battle. There is also the delicate and constant challenge of balancing the old with the new. How does a small nation with a fragile ecosystem preserve its unique, small-scale culture while welcoming a growing number of tourists drawn by its unspoiled nature? The debate around over-tourism in certain iconic spots has led to innovative solutions, like the annual Closed for Maintenance weekend, where the islands symbolically close to tourists and welcome volunteers to help repair and maintain hiking paths. How does a nation preserve its unique and precious language in an age of overwhelming global media? How does it create enough diverse and challenging opportunities to persuade its highly educated young people to stay or to return home? These are the vital questions the Faroes people face, a continuous, thoughtful effort to maintain their precious way of life while building a sustainable future in a rapidly changing world. So why do people choose to stay? In a world that offers seemingly limitless options, what is the anchor that holds them to this small, remote, and often challenging place? The answer is not one thing, but a complex tapestry of deeply felt connections. They stay for the profound, unshakable sense of community, for the feeling of belonging to a place where people don't just know you, they know your history, and they genuinely care for you. They stay for the unparalleled safety, for the simple, priceless freedom to raise children in a world where doors are left unlocked and the entire community serves as a watchful guardian. They stay for the peace, for the pervasive quiet that allows for a deeper, more meaningful connection to oneself and to the natural world. In a world saturated with noise, speed, and distraction, the Faroe Islands offer a rare and precious silence. And perhaps most of all, they stay for the unbreakable bond with the landscape itself. A landscape that is not just a backdrop for their lives, but an integral part of their identity, a part of who they are. It is a connection forged in the wind, in the sea, and in the shared collective experience of living in a place of wild, dramatic, and enduring beauty. It is the feeling of having roots that run as deep and as strong as the cliffs themselves. Life in the Faroe Islands moves to a different rhythm. It is a rhythm set not by the clock, but by the turning of the seasons, the rising and falling of the tides, and the coming and going of the storms. It is a delicate, constantly negotiated balance between an ancient past and an engineered future, between a cherished solitude and an essential community, between the untamed wildness of nature and the profound warmth of home. This is a place that teaches resilience, patience, and a deep respect for the world outside the window. Here, life is not measured in grand events or dramatic upheavals, but in the steady, dependable patterns of the everyday, in the warmth of a shared meal, in the comfort of a familiar story, and in the simple, profound beauty of a quiet life lived at the edge of the ocean.